Colleen. Wow.
Huh?
How are you?
Good. Hold on, I just did something to my. There we are. I'm good.
Okay.
How are you?
I'm good. Okay, what about the knee?
It's there.
Did you have
Quite the struggle.
you had the operation in the spring?
I had it replaced
Yeah.
on April 7th.
Uh-huh.
And it's, I'm still in PT because we can't get the extension, but I'm beginning to think that I might never have full extension. Like my PT can get it to 0 by pushing on it, but I can only get it to -5.
Mm-hmm.
So, but it's my right leg, which is the one that, is tilted backwards. Like my go like that and it goes like that. So I don't know. Just keeping at it.
Yep.
Stretching it, PT. What else can you do?
Yeah.
My right is still really weak. It was weak before the surgery. I've always had troubles getting my right glute to activate.
Uh-huh.
And I guess that's part of the scoliosis,
Yeah.
a side effect of the scoliosis. So I'm working on that really hard and
Yeah.
just doing what I can do.
Yes. Yes. Okay, and how are your hips feeling? Especially, yeah. Like
My hips are fine so far. I mean,
okay.
What I learned from this is I'm never having another replacement regardless of what the doctors say.
Okay. Okay. Oh dear.
Because they're mumbling about shoulder replacements, and I'm like, never.
Right.
Never. I'll take pills before I have my shoulders replaced.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I mean, I know you're very active in terms of your self-care and you know your body well, so I'm sure you know what's helpful, what's not helpful, how far to go and when to rest and all those things.
Yeah, my one physical therapist friend said to me, until you are completely incapacitated and can't move your shoulders, don't ever let them replace your shoulders.
Right, yeah.
So, and I'm way too young for that anyway, and he said to me, I had a cortisone shot in them back in February, I think.
Mm-hmm.
And he said, we'll just every 3 months, give you more shots, and I don't need shots now.
Mm-hmm.
Like my shots last a year because I strengthen so much after I get them where they don't hurt.
Right.
So anyway, how are you?
Okay, I'm good, thanks. Yes, I've had a lovely summer, and we had some rain today, which is very nice. An actual thunderstorm. So Geraldine, welcome. So glad you could make it. Nice to see you. And I got your message. And so if you can put in your little window, rename yourself with your first name and your curve pattern. If you know what your greatest convexity is. So for me, I would say Catherine LL because mine's a left lumbar. And some of you I know, but it's good for me to see at a glance. And I will remember to put the recording on today. So today, but yeah, let me wait till everyone's here. So Letitia, nice to see you. RTLL, I just see a lovely picture of you. I don't quite see you yet. But good to see Colleen here. Colleen and I were in Mexico last year with Elise's retreat. And she has another one this November, and she's off. So let me start the recording here.
Recording stopped.
No, that stopped.
Recording in progress.
Recording in progress. Welcome. Okay. Welcome everyone. My name is Catherine Kazishian and I'm here filling in for Elise Miller, who is off, and next week Labor Day is a holiday, so we won't have a class, but the following 3 weeks I'll also fill in for Elise because she's taking some trips. So those will be some more active classes in September. And for today we have a restorative class, which is traditionally done in the Iyengar tradition on the last week of the month is restorative week. And this actually ties in very well with our cycle, our lunar cycle, because tomorrow night there is a full moon, and in the Vedic tradition there's ceremonies done on that full moon called Raksha Bandhan. And so these full moon ceremonies involve lots of different practices like meditation and pranayama and prayers. And this particular ceremony at this time of the year is about healing relationships of all kinds. Spiritual, emotional, friendship, romantic, all kinds of relationships. And one of my other teachers, Baba Haridas, said that the main purpose of this ritual is to spread universal friendship. And so how beautiful is that? Universal friendship. I feel yoga is a practice of universality and embracing the universality within each of us. And it's not a religion, it's more a philosophy that encompasses everyone. So anyone of any religion can practice yoga. And I'd like to offer that as a prompt or suggestion if you'd like to take it as one of your intentions for today's practice of being a friend, being your own friend, and focusing on that, strengthening that relationship that you have with all parts of you. And let's begin today finding your comfortable position. Maybe you're cross-legged or maybe you're in Virasana. As long as you're sitting on some height, so your hips are at least as high as your knees. We're going to need a lot of props today. I'm just showing with the belt. In case you're sitting cross-legged, you can have the belt around the outside of your knees and it can hold your legs up for you. Or the other option you can do, take a blanket, roll it on a long end and tuck it around on top of your ankles, under your legs, so they have nice support for your legs. Feel free to unmute yourself at any time to ask questions. And find for yourself a comfortable position, which could be with the hands Anjali Mudra or another gesture of harmony and intention. So you can have a few moments of quietness with your eyes looking down or softly closed, tuning into your inner experience, tuning out the external environment and the rest of your day. Observe your breath as it is today. If you like, you can join me with an Om. First exhaling completely. And inhale to Om. And slowly lower your hands, lower the arms. You can take off your props. Extend your legs. So we'll give you a moment to gather extra props in case you haven't got them handy. We have an eye pillow, have 3 or so blocks, or if you have a bolster and 1 block, you could do that. And have a yoga belt. 2 yoga belts if you've got them. If just 1, that will work. And if you have a sandbag, great. Also, lots of blankets. If you have 3 or 4 blankets, that's fantastic. You could use 2 towels instead of 2 of the blankets. And also some props for your concavity. So if you've been coming to this class for a while, you may already have nearby, say a washcloth or a hand towel. And I have these little extra spare pieces of cut up yoga mat, or you could use a small pillow. And then for left lumbar folks, you could use a rolled up towel, or I use a rolled up mat for one of our postures later on. And yes, that is a lot of props. So welcome. So those of you just joining, I can see, yep, Shelly B. Hi, welcome. Nice to see you. My name's Catherine. I'm teaching for Elise today. And if you can check that you have in your name, your little name box, your first name and your curve pattern, like LL for left lumbar, RT for right thoracic convexity, RTLL if you have the double curve, right thoracic, left lumbar, and RTL if you have right thoracolumbar. And also check that your background is not blurred, if you can make it that way, because sometimes when the props are in front of you and you have the background blurred, then the camera focuses on the props and you're blurred in the background, so I can't really see what's going on. So I'm going to come up and down with towards the screen so I can see you. So I'll first set up and demonstrate, and then I'll come and see you. So what we'll do together is do some of the setup, and then I'll talk you through the fine tunings of how to prop for your curve pattern, and then we'll practice together, and I'll come and check on you. So the first pose for today is Shavasana. If you have a particular Shavasana that you know works well for you because of particular conditions, I know some of you are working with healing from surgery, etc. So if you need your joints in a particular way for Shavasana, then of course feel free. And that goes for all the poses. Do what works for you. What I'm going to show today as an option is prone Shavasana. And lucky for me, I have these handy chip foam blocks, but you could use folded up blankets or pranayama pillows or a rolled up towel, a rolled up blanket like this under your shoulder. See what's comfortable for you. And I have an extra blanket here for nice cushioning on my mat, but I also have it so I get a little bit of lift in my torso, and I get lengthening in the lower back. And then these extra blankets I'm going to roll up, or you could use beach towels or bath towels. Roll them up for my feet. My ankles are going to be a bit of an angle. So set yourself up, if you're doing this prone Shavasana, by getting a lot of your props ready. The rolled ones are at the foot of the mat for the ankles. I have a prop for my torso here. I have some arm props on either side, which are optional. Some people like to rest on the floor. And then I have a block here for my head, and I put my eye pillow here for my forehead because the block is a bit hard. Okay. Great, so some of you are sitting up in your regular way, or face up or face down. So there's advantages to both. With the face down Shavasana, we let the back body recede into the front body, and we can feel and direct the breath into the back body. And when you're face up, it's the reverse. So the way that I like to get into it is start on hands and knees, and I do a little bit of landmarking. Bend my legs back, hook my front of the ankles onto the blankets, and then I'm going to experiment and adjust. So when I come down, that's a little too close. Sometimes I use a bolster. This is a little tight. We'll see. So the blanket is above the navel, below the ribs. Find a comfortable position for you. Turn that up so it's out of the way, and have a little bit of space for your head, your chin, your nose, so you can breathe. And then the arms rest on the props on the side. Now, when you get down here, if you find that your concavity is dropping, you want to put one of your cloths or your concavity support under your ribs. You can experiment with that. So if you have a right thoracic curve, experiment with a very slight support under the left ribs if you feel you're rolling to the side. And this arm support I put under the wrists and the elbows, with the elbows at right angles to the shoulders. Resting there in your chosen variation of Shavasana. Give yourself the opportunity to allow the upward part of your body to descend towards the part that's near the floor. Make any adjustments you need, and then commit to your pose where you are allowing yourself to rest into the supports. Watching your inhale, observe where it goes, and watch your exhale. Notice if there's any areas where the breath moves very easily, opens up, or if there's any areas where there's less space for the breath. Notice if your inhalation is roughly equal to your exhalation in length, breadth, and depth. Notice any areas of tension or holding that perhaps are not necessary with you being supported on the floor. And if you like, on your exhale, invite a softening or expansion or release of that tension, that holding. take your time, slowly prepare to come out as you're ready by placing your hands by your ribs and pressing yourself up with an inhale. Simply pause when you get to hands and knees. Take your time. Stay slow and inward. Quiet and inward. Now, if it's possible for you to have the short end of your mat at a wall or at something that some piece of furniture or something you could press your foot into, that will be beneficial for some poses. It's not totally essential. If you can't make that happen, don't worry about it. But it's an option to get the short end of your mat at the wall and get a bolster or a rolled up towel, rolled up blanket will work. If you have a sandbag, you could use that, and if not, we'll use your hand. And we'll take your yoga belts, 2 belts if you have them, and a concavity support. So you may want 1 or 2 concavity supports. So let's get partly set up, and then I'll demonstrate and talk you through it. Short end of the mat at the wall, you'll have a blanket for your head. If you usually lie down with a blanket for your head, we're going to Supta Panangustasana 2, supine big toe, reclining big toe pose number 2. And the bolster will support your hip, or the rolled up blanket could support your hip. And then the belts, so only, so both belts are looped up. Let's say one, make a very tiny little belt. So if you just have 1 belt, don't worry about this. If you have 2 belts, put one of your belts in a tiny loop. And the second belt goes about your leg, your hip distance like this. If you put it around your foot and it goes to your hip, you could give yourself a little grace, a little leeway, so it's a bit looser, and then you can tighten it after as we get into the pose. So this pose is for beautiful opening up of the leg and grounding of the hips. Have your little concavity supports ready for you. Okay, I'm going to show how to get in. The trickiest part is figuring out the props. So, left leg first. So I will show, make sure it's not twisted. I bring my feet to the wall, both feet into the belt with the tail going to the left. So the tail is going to the left because I'm doing my left leg first, and the belt is going to catch my left knee. Now I want to show how to get in gently with my knees bent, and I come down on the elbows and press into the wall, and I look down and check my chin is in line with my heart, my belly button, my navel. I want to keep that as straight as I can. I take my little concavity supports, washcloths, etc. under my right waist because I have a left lumbar, and then a little bit under my left ribs, which is my other concavity. And I hug my bolster in. I have my second belt ready and my sandbag ready. So I'm going to take the sandbag, put it on my right hip. If you don't have a sandbag, you'll use your hand for this purpose. Then I bend my right knee in the belt, and I see how the belt catches my knee in the hip. So I want to make sure the buckle's over on the side a little bit so it's not in my skin, and I can easily tighten. You see that? I pull the tail of the belt down away from me. That's to tighten the belt, and this is going to help open up the left waist. So that's belt number 1. My right leg is rolling inwards, right leg right foot pressing strongly into the wall. Keep the bolster in nice and tight to my left hip. Now here's the fun part, where if you have your second belt with a little tiny loop, you put that around your foot near the base. Oh, I want to turn this way, and just above the arch of the foot, and I extend up. So first, number one, briefly touch into Supta Pada 1, and then I'm going to open the left leg just slightly to the side because the bolster's supporting me. If the right hip starts to roll up, you put your right hand onto your hip, keep pressing that right leg strongly. You can rest your left elbow on the floor. This is the restorative version. If you want to go further, you can tuck the belt around behind your neck and reach out with your right arm lengthening, and that way your left arm can rest out to the left. I've got the wall in the way, so I can't reach too far with my right hand, but you see that helps my left arm relax. Both arms stretching across to open the chest. Right foot presses into the wall, and left leg is supported by the bolster. Open the sole of the foot. So I'm very happy here. Then when it's time to come out, I come back in, touch to number one, Supta Pada 1, and slide the belt off, and release the leg down and pause. Feel the difference in the two hips before I flip the belt over for second side. Okay, so let me talk you into how to get into it in a nice gentle way. So you have some of your props set up. Well, I'll do the left leg first. So you have your long belt with the tail going out to your left side. Put the loop of the belt behind your feet, close to the wall. Bend your knees and bring the belt more towards your top thighs. That's it. Then have your hands on the floor, knees bent, elbows bent, so you come down with a long spine, chin tucking in, and check to see that everything's lined up. Chin, sternum, navel, pubic bone. You can keep everything in a straight line. If you have a sandbag or some kind of, even a pillow or another block, just to remind you to keep that right hip down. You can place it down now. And then you bend your left knee in, catch that left hip with the belt, and adjust so the buckle is away from you and the tail points away, and adjust for your tightness. So there's a little bit of pull, of traction on the belt for your left side of your waist. That's number one, which is the prep for Supta Pada 1. Then you can take, if you're using the second belt, a small loop over your foot, just above the arch. Extend up. Left leg straight, right leg straight, pressing into the wall. So touching into Supta Pada 1. And then make sure you haven't lost your bolster or your blanket roll, hugging into your left hip. Belt in the left hand, inhale, exhale, open your left leg slightly to the left. If your right hip comes up, remember to bring it down and reduce your left leg space. If you want to add the belt under the neck, you can, or simply use your left hand, rest the elbow on the floor. Otherwise, reach the tail under your neck. Let the right arm hold your left leg using the belt, and reach your left arm out just below shoulder height. I'm going to come and have a look. Ah, yes, well done. Uh-huh. Yes, so as you're ready, you're going to take the belt in your left hand. If it's not already, slowly bring your left leg back up to center. Touch into Supta Padangusthasana 1 with the leg 90 degrees. Foot open towards the ceiling. And pause and observe. And you can take that top belt off, just let it fall, and then gently lengthen the left leg as you lower it down to feel the effects of this pose. Have a rest in between the two sides. And then slowly, mindfully, you can switch your belts over by crossing them. Take off the top belt, cross over the bottom so your tail of the belt will go out to your right side. And the other thing is, if you find you have, say you have tight calves or hamstrings or any knee strain, you could have a little roll under your leg. So keep that in mind. Always add extra height if there's any achiness or any more support needed. And with your bolster along your right hip and your sandbag or other weight ready for your left hip, engage the left leg strongly into the wall and then catch the left hip with the belt and extend up. Touch into Supta Padangusthasana 1 with the leg straight up, holding the belt. Yeah. And when you're ready, inhale, open, right leg slightly to the right. If your left hip starts to come up, place your right hand down on your, left hand down on the left hip to keep it down, keep it square, and or hug your right bolster, the prop by your right hip, hug it in closer. If you find your torso is rolling to the side. That's it. If you want to loop that belt under your neck, you can. So you relax your right arm, extend your left arm, and let your left arm and the belt be holding your right leg up along with the bolster. Very nice. Left leg is still active with that foot pressing into the wall, leg rolling in. And this helps open up the lumbar area. Yeah, you got it. A few more breaths here. When you feel you've had about the same time on this side as on the other side, use your arm to help guide your leg back up to Supta Padangusthasana 1 and touch into that position. Notice how it's different, or it may feel there's some shift that happens since before you opened your leg. And simply allow that belt to fall off and extend your leg as you lower it down. And pause and notice any sensations in your hips, any changes in your lumbar or anywhere else that you notice. Note the effects of this pose. And in your own time, gently bend your knees one at a time. Place your feet on the floor and slowly roll to your side. You can roll on your convex side if you want. Feel how that feels touching the floor, touching your mat. And then slowly tuck your chin in, use your arm to press up, let your head be heavy, your neck soft. Take your time. Okay, so what we'll set up, you can put your sandbag to the side. What we'll set